Oh my goodness. Hey, how's everybody doing this evening? Hope everyone's doing well. Can everybody hear me all right? Texas Garden Guy show starts right now. And I started this Texas Garden Guy show out thing where I would have a guest every week, but I've kind of been slacking on getting guests. So it's just me tonight. Hope that's okay. Hope everyone's having a great Monday. Had a great weekend. You're back to the work week. I know today's been chaotic for me at work, but man, it's happy. I'm happy to, you know, happy to have a job and happy for all that good stuff. So I had a good weekend in the garden, got some stuff done. I had a bunch of plants and pots and stuff that I accumulated from my road trip from Alabama. So I'm slowly but surely getting some of that stuff potted up and I'm videoing it. I want to try to video all of it, but I just don't have the time to video all of it. So we'll see how it goes. Let's see. How's it going, Brenda? From Arkansas. What's going on? If you're in the chat, let me know where you're watching from down below in the comment section. We are live on Facebook and YouTube. You like my new background? I made a little custom little background. You got a little bit of the garden, a little bit of Texas flag, and then looks like a 4-year-old drew the Texas Garden Guy show, and that is my style. I am basically a 4-year-old with a beard. No, I'm kidding. Just got done cooking dinner. I like to grill or cook on the Blackstone every Monday and prep meals for the week. I've been finding it's hard to find the grocery store like affordable, decent cuts of like steak. You know, you'll see a deal on a packages of steaks, and then they're like paper thin, like, oh yeah, 8 steaks for $20, and it's like they're about an 1/8 inch thick. And so I've been finding like the bigger cuts, like the broils and some of the chucks, and just cooking those as steaks and just slicing them up and being good with that. So I did a big steak and some chicken breasts. And so we'll be good for the week. I love the Blackstones. Love the Blackstones. I got a bunch of soil mixed up. I've been mixing up my own soil mix lately. If I'm gonna use it in the container, I typically will mix in some perlite. I'll use some potting soil, some rose soil, and maybe some compost, and adding in quite a bit of perlite. And I had my big gorilla cart full to the brim yesterday. I was shooting some videos, and so I didn't know how much soil I was going to need. So I mixed up a big batch, and I probably didn't even use half of it, and left it out in the backyard. I was like, oh, the weather doesn't show it's going to rain all week, so it should be okay. I come home for lunch, and it doesn't look like rain or anything, so I go ahead and water the garden, and then literally less than like 2 hours later, I'm sitting at work. I look out the window and it is pouring rain. I'm like, oh my God. And so that nice, awesome soil blend that I mixed up became very muddy very quick. Luckily, it was pretty dry already, so it kind of soaked a lot of it up. So yeah, I used a lot of it to repot some stuff before the podcast started. So hope everyone's having a great Monday. I think this week, I mean, I don't know when the weather is supposed to cool down again. You know, it's been so hot this week. It looks like here in the end of the week, we're going to get down into the 60s, down in the 60s here in the Houston area. Highs of, looks like starting tomorrow, we're going to dip down into the 80s for the high. And it kind of gets cooler throughout the rest of the week. So that's kind of nice, which means we need to get started on some of our fall veggies here in the Houston area. I have got a bunch of seeds that I'm going to get started. Probably going to direct seed them. I've never had a whole lot of luck with root vegetables. And so this fall, I really wanted to focus and try to grow quite a bit of carrots and rutabagas, maybe some turnips, throwing some radishes. My dad had really good success in rutabagas. He actually thought he liked turnips. And so let's see. He bought turnips. He bought rutabagas, thought they were turnips. And then he went and bought the seeds, thinking they were turnips. and they're actually rutabagas, so it worked out. So he grew like 100 rutabagas and discovered that he loved them. And he sent me a bunch of seeds. And I've got a bunch of seeds, I think, from my buddy Zach over at Seed Farm Table. He sent me some rutabaga seeds. And so I'm going to plant a bunch of those. And what I'm going to do is I'm just going to get my beds prepped, full to the top with as much soil as I need. And then I'm going to take like a 2x4 or like a long stick, like a long ruler, like a yardstick. And I'm going to take it and I'm just going to make me a little trough. I'm going to go about, I'll say half an inch to an inch deep. And then I'm going to do a whole row, like rows of these carrots and rutabagas in some of my beds because I just haven't had luck. And I think I learned why I'm having. In the past, I've not had great success with root vegetables, and I actually learned it from my buddy Jeremy Trotsky, the Dirty Punk Gardening. He and the Plant Techie will be on the garden party this Wednesday, but he said the key to growing root vegetables is to broad fork. Now, some people that till, it means to till. Broad forking is this. It looks like some of them. The one I've got has like a shovel handle, and it's got 4 tines that go into the soil, and you kind of lift up, and it just introduces a little air and kind of puffs up your soil. Tilling can kind of be destructive. A lot of people don't really till their gardens, especially their raised beds up. So he said if you broad fork your raised beds, you will have better success in growing those root vegetables because you're gonna, your soil becomes super compacted. Your soil will become super compacted over the seasons where you're planting and planting and planting and adding more soil and all that good stuff. So you need to broad fork your soil and loosen up the soil layers and allow for those root vegetables to grow lower and lower. So that is my plan this weekend if I have time. I think this weekend might be one of the last weekends that I don't have anything going on as far as like events go. I don't have anything. I've got a couple things I got to do on Friday, but Saturday I don't have anything. So I think I'm going to spend the whole day Saturday probably working in the garden. I need to get some more soil, top the rest of my beds off. I've got a bunch of other stuff. If you're going to be transplanting, if you're going to be planting something in the ground, or you need to transplant something coming up this weekend, it looks like here in at least my area, Rocheron, we're going to be in the low 60s and the mid to high 80s, which sounds perfect for planting something in the ground or transplanting. So keep that in mind this weekend when you got some free time. If you got something that's been in a pot for a long time, you want to put it in the ground. This looks like it's going to be a weekend to do it. We're at the Strawberry Jamboree on Saturday. Saturday was really cool. I was over in Lake Jackson, Texas, at the Strawberry Jamboree. A lot of fun. My friend Kimberly Mayer, the Missouri County Ag Extension agent, did a really good job of arranging that. And I didn't even notice until the very end that they gave me a little goodie bag. It was like a really nice put together like box of goodies from them, and everything in it was strawberry. Like it was like strawberry snacks, dehydrated freeze dried strawberries, and I even got like a AgriLife tumbler, which is really nice as well. So shout out to them. The speakers at the event were really nice. They invited me to speak, and I didn't. If I'm being completely honest, I didn't know I was supposed to talk at the Strawberry Jamboree because I'm not the biggest expert when it comes to growing strawberries. This will be the first year that I buy the plugs and buy bare root strawberry plants in the fall. So you want to plant, if you're going to buy your plugs, like the smaller plants or the bare root strawberries, this is the time of year you want to plant them here in Texas. I want to plant them now. And I actually have never done it before. I've always bought them in the spring like everybody else and grown them then. But to get really good results and to maybe establish a perennial bed of strawberries, my goal is to get some plugs and get some bare root plants from my buddy, Farmer Froberg, over there in Alvin, Texas. Froberg told me to come on by whenever he gets his stuff in from Canada. I don't think he sells plants to the general public, but he's going to hook me up. So the Ag Extension of Missouri County, though, they are doing orders. I don't know if they're still doing them or not, but you can still pre-order your plugs from them. And if you're looking to like build a strawberry perennial bed where I've got a really shady spot of my yard that I'm going to do garlic and I'm going to do strawberries in. Garlic and strawberries are good companion plants. So the problem with growing strawberries in this part of the Texas is that they are typically not grown as perennials. Like at Froberg's or most of these commercial farms, they're not going to be leaving the plants, the crowns in the ground over the spring and summer. They're going to rip them up or till them in and, start fresh the next year, mostly because of real estate. You think about how many strawberries are growing, how much real estate that takes. Man, it would take a lot of land and a lot of money to just keep those strawberries alive all spring and summer, especially in this part of the Texas where it gets so hot. I mean, you got to just keep the irrigation on them nonstop year round. And it would just cost too much money. So we get most of our stuff in from Canada, I believe. The strawberry perennial plugs and bare roots. So I'll be getting some of those. I got some garlic and some other seeds from Greg over at Haas Tools. I got my elephant garlic in, and I haven't unboxed it yet, but I'm going to be planting that sometime this week. Hopefully, all these live streams really cut into me doing actual work, but it's a lot of fun. So I'll be planting some elephant garlic. If you've never seen elephant garlic, it is huge. I mean, literally, one clove of elephant garlic is about this big, like 3-4 inches big of a clove. And I did some research, and they were saying that elephant garlic is actually not even true garlic. It is actually in the leek family, but I guess all leeks are in the garlic. I don't know. It's weird, but apparently elephant garlic is technically a leek, which is kind of cool. So, but I'll be planting some of that. And if you're going to do garlic this time of year or strawberries, just know that like garlic is going to take a long time. Garlic and onions are going to take a long time to go from clove to bulb. I've had some okay luck with garlic. You can pretty much harvest it whenever you want. Like you don't have to actually wait for the entire bulb to develop. You can go ahead and harvest it whenever you want. And here in the Houston area, I know people have had issues with garlic, letting it cure and having issues with mold and stuff. I don't know. The last year I did it, I went ahead and I pickled my garlic. And the cool thing about pickling garlic is that the oil in the garlic bulb is so strong that it does not actually allow the vinegar to penetrate into the clove. So, you don't have to worry about the vinegar making the garlic taste like crap, basically. So, and it's really cool. The garlic I had turned pink. It was really interesting. But with the elephant garlic, I'm looking to probably braid it and, cure it and have it good for a while. I go through a lot of garlic. I don't know about y'all. Are there any garlic lovers in the chat? I really, really love garlic. It is so nice. A couple other things came in the mail. My buddy, the plant techie, Josh, he is going to be on the podcast with Jeremy Trotsky on Wednesday. He sent me some pomegranate cuttings, which is exciting. Some pomegranate cuttings. He doesn't know what the variety is, but I believe he said they're red on the outside and white on the inside. The flowers are beautiful. And we're always looking for different pomegranate varieties to see how well they do. He's in North Carolina, so I'd be interested to see how they do down here. Pomegranates are a really good option for people in Texas that are sick of the cold weather, sick of losing their citrus trees every year. Figs and pomegranates will handle the cold. I even was talking to an old timer over at the Strawberry Festival, and he was telling me about something called a jujube. And I've heard of a jujube before. I didn't know if they were actually cold tolerant. And come to find out, I think they are. So I might be looking for some jujube plants here pretty soon, just to see how they do in containers. I don't have a lot of space to grow stuff in the ground here in my backyard, but if I can keep it in a container for a couple of years and it does really well, especially if I can propagate it, I would really like to have one of those around. But yeah, we'll have to see. I know there's places in the Houston area. If you've ever been to a JRN, there's 2 or 3 of them in the Houston area, and they are a Vietnamese owned nursery. There's a couple of different ones. There's one on like the West Park Tollway, and there's one on the northwest side of Houston called JRN. Careful when you go because the parking lots are never really big. think most of their parking lots can fit like 3 or 4 cars at a time. Last time I almost got like hit 3 or 4 times. It was nuts. But they have really, really cool varieties. I found out some cool desert roses last time I was there, and they had some of those exotic fruit trees like sapodillo, sapote, a bunch of cool ones. So I bet they have jujubes. I'd be interested to see how they do here in my area. Like I said, especially in a container. But yeah, I had a really good time yesterday in the garden trying to get everything planted. We had my neighbor's wedding on Saturday night up in Montgomery, Texas. Shout out to Scott and Taylor for getting married. You poor bastard. Don't know why you did it. No, I'm just kidding. No, it was a great time, and we appreciate them inviting us. We've known them for about, Scott for about 6 or 7 years now. He's been living next door to us, and it was cool to get to go in to his wedding. It was a small event, so felt really nice to be invited to something like that. But went and saw the in-laws, and then checked on the cows Sunday morning. That was always fun. It's always fun to go out on the gator with the family and go check the cows. I think my father-in-law had about 10 or 12 brand new calves that have been born in the last month or so. So it's been a lot of fun for them to go out there and check the cows every day. They're both retired, my mother-in-law and my father-in-law. And so they have a good time going out there and checking the cows. Gives them something to do. And it's fun because I do it with my dad too. I do it with my dad, except for with my dad, he's down there in the Bay City area and it's just flat. So you can pretty much from the back porch look and see the cows. Up in the Magnolia area, you kind of got to drive around because the hills and stuff and the creeks. You don't do it at my dad's house. You can pretty much count them all from where we're at. So it's a little bit easier. But got home and I had to get to work. Planted a bunch of stuff. I did my almond verbena. I was in Slidell, Louisiana at the Garden Spot. Really cool nursery there in Slidell, Louisiana. It was the last stop on my Alabama road trip, and they had a lot of cool tropical stuff. I got a really nice Big Papa hibiscus, which is like a huge red flower, awesome Cajun hibiscus. It is wonderful looking. And then I ended up getting an awesome desert rose, which I also shot that video. I have not edited it yet. And then I found that almond verbena. I've been looking for a sweet almond verbena. The black circle of death. I've been looking for a sweet almond verbena. There's a lot of conflicting stuff online about the almond verbena because some places I looked and it said that an almond verbena is native to like South America and it can even be at like the most southern tips of Texas, kind of like the Esperanza and stuff like that, stuff like Esperanza. They say it's native to Texas, but you gotta go pretty far south to see them native. And I think it might be the same thing with the verbena. And some of them were saying that the verbena is not native like the Texas or anywhere in South America. So I need to do more research on it. But the sweet almond verbena, it kind of looks like a little vitex. And it has these beautiful little white spires. And the scent off of this plant, I can't describe it. I mean, it literally smells. If you've ever gone, I don't know if y'all are like me, but like when you're a kid, like growing up, did you ever go like into your grandma's like spice cabinet and go through all of like the extracts? Did you ever go through all the extracts and smell them? I would go to my grandma's spice cabinet when I was growing up, and I would close my eyes and grab a canister, and I would open the bottle. Oh, I'm gonna itch. Ugh. I would open the bottle with my eyes closed and sniff it and see if I could guess what the extract was. Like, oh, it's cinnamon. Oh, dang it. It's not it's almond or whatever. But this one smells like almond extract. The plant smells like almond extract. It's one of the best smelling plants I've ever smelled. And usually here in the Houston area, when you find them, they're pretty pricey. But over there in Slidell, Louisiana, they had a 3-gallon that was bursting at the seams. And man, I think I paid $25 for it. I paid $25 for that verbena, and I took it to the checkout, and they're like, "Man, we can't find anybody to buy them." And I was like, "Dude, in Houston, you can't buy them for this price. This is crazy." Which goes to show you, you got to travel. If you're a serious like plant collector, a plant hoarder, like I am, you got to go outside of your local area. You got to go outside of your local state Obviously follow restrictions and make sure that you're not bringing plants back to the Houston area that are invasive, you know. So careful with that. But you got to go outside your area and find cool new stuff. And that's what the Alabama trip was all about. It was going to meet Cog Hill and Tracy from Just Dig It and have a really good time, really cool road trip, but also to check out nurseries and check out places outside of my normal circumference and see what kind of new plants can I find, what kind of cool stuff they got out here in Alabama way. So it was Sunday that I was driving back, and that was like literally one of the only nurseries on Sunday that was open from Birmingham, Alabama to Houston, Texas. That's one of the only nurseries that was open. Yeah, it was pretty wild. But I will definitely be going back. My wife and I are already planning the next road trip. We are going to probably be driving east as far as we can go, a little bit north, and then back around through like Kentucky and Tennessee through the spring break. And if I can, I might try to coordinate some meetups and some events. I might just say, hey, I'm going to be at this nursery at this time. If you're around, come here, get some free stickers, and just see what happens. I might just do that. I might not plan it out at all. I might say like, hey, you got to follow me on Instagram. I'm going to tag where I'm at, and you got to be there. Something like this, something like that. We'll see. But we're planning an entire road trip, and man, it's going to be so much fun. We had talked about there being a rule where, like, for every nursery we go to, I'm only allowed to get one thing, but I don't think that would last very long, honestly. I'd be like, hey, I'm going to buy this, but here's my card. I'm going to come around the back, and you just throw in the back of my truck. But yeah, no, it was a fun weekend. The Desert Rose, y'all are not going to believe that this crazy Desert Rose that I picked up. It is officially my biggest Desert Rose. The other ones that I have, I bought the biggest individual one this year. It was a Creekside Desert Rose, and I got it at Jimbo's. But the one I got from Slidell is the biggest individual one I've got. It literally looks like one of those, what do they call, hobbits or whatever, or what the heck, what the little things from Harry Potter that when you yank them out of the ground, if you listen to them, they make you go deaf or something. I forget what they're called. But yeah, I can't see if people are in the chat. If you can hear me in the chat, let me know. I don't know if my chat's messed up or not. Just want to double check. But yeah, no, it's gonna be fun to go back that way and do some more stuff. Let's see. Yes. All right. But yes, lots of planning videos. Okay, you can hear me? Cool. I just want to make sure. My internet's being super terrible today. I literally bought one of these. I'm gonna show y'all what I did. So I don't trust my Wi-Fi, so I bought this reel. This is an Ethernet reel that I run from my computer to the router in the living room. I usually run it in there, and I plug an Ethernet cable into my computer, and I get better internet. I didn't do it today, so I want to see how it does. So we'll see. We'll see. I need to run a hard line in here from the attic. The actual where the internet comes in is literally right there behind this wall. But if I want to get internet in here, I got to go all the way to my room, and then I got to come back to this office. So fun times. I'll wait till it cools down, then maybe I'll make that happen. We got the Urban Gardener in the chat. Good to catch you. You too, Enoch. So I will actually be on the Urban Gardener podcast this Sunday with my buddy Phil's Figs. I'll be on the Enoch's channel on YouTube on Sunday morning. I think 11:30. 11:30 my time here in Texas. And Mr. Phil's going to be on as well. I really enjoyed the last time I was on. He is the reason I going on the Urban Gardener podcast was the reason that I upgraded my streaming stuff, which might coincidentally be why I get the little black screen of death sometimes because I went too crazy with my production value. But you got to step your game up when you go on other people's podcasts and it looks better than you. You know, I don't have the little awesome segments yet though. I don't have the awesome segments. He's got little commercials and little things he does. I need to step my game up with that. Oh, you're good, Donna. Donna's in the chat. Sorry you're late. No worries. I appreciate everybody hopping on. Happy Monday to everybody. If you got any fall gardening questions, drop them down below. Speaking of being on other people's shows, I was on the garden line yesterday morning. I didn't announce it because I didn't know how long I was going to be on. If I'm being honest, when I originally talked to Skip and the producers, I thought I was going to be on as a guest for like the whole episode. I didn't know I was calling in for a 30-minute segment. And I was kind of frustrated. It kind of pissed me off, honestly. But I was like, you know what? I'm going to go on and I'm going to have a good time with Skip. Skip's a really cool dude. So even if I get to be on for 30 minutes, I'm going to go do it. And it was so much fun. Skip is an awesome dude. We talked about figs and we even got into some desert roses. And he even promoted the Fig-toberfest, which is, can y'all believe Fig-toberfest is next week? Fig-toberfest is next week. I don't have a membership. Oh my goodness. Yeah, Fig-toberfest is next week. It is next Saturday. Phil will be down next week. Like Phil is going to be here for too long. This is crazy. Let's fucking share. If y'all don't know already, Fig-toberfest is our first annual event all about figs. Like it's going to be insanity. Let me go to the event. I'm going to share the screen real quick. So, and I did I update this one? The banner's not updated. Damn it. Sorry. Here we go. I'll find it. I updated the banner. I don't know why it's not showing. But anyway, it's 8 p.m. to 1 p.m. or 8 a.m. to 1 p.m. Next Saturday, October 5th. And it's gonna be a completely free event. And we're gonna have Phil's Figs from Wilmington, North Carolina. We're gonna have the Fig Hunter from California. We're gonna have a bunch of speakers from AgriLife coming in. We are doing this in conjunction with Texas A&M AgriLife. Like we're doing it with them. It's gonna be so much fun. Let's see. I thought I posted a flyer. I guess I didn't. But anyway, I'm gonna share the link right here. If you want to find out more information, I'm going to share the link right there. Boom. My keyboard went to sleep. There we go. Okay, it'll be 11 a.m. Pacific Standard Time. Okay, so I'll be on at 11 p.m. or 11 a.m. Pacific Standard Time, which is 1:30 Central Standard Time. So I think it's 1 o'clock. Okay. I really got to get my time zones down. I'll be on at 1 o'clock Central Standard Time. That's what I'm thinking. Yes. I will share the link. I'll share the link. But I just posted the event. So it is going to be, I'll share right here. Boom. Can y'all see this? So this is, well, that's not what I want to share. Why is this not working? Boom. You'll see it now? Oops. There we go. So it's first annual Fig-toberfest, Saturday, October 5th, 8 a.m., 1 p.m. Lakeside Park, 1234 in Cheney Oaks Drive, Angleton, Texas. There are speakers, exhibitors, tree giveaways, a ton of trees we're going to give away. The Fig Hunter is going to be coming, and he is going to have a ton of fig trees to give away. Can y'all not see my screen? I guess not. But anyway, share the link. Oh my goodness. Yes, that's going to be a fun event. Phil's coming down. We're going to have a ton of trees to give away. My friends over at the my friends over at I can post it right here and show right here. I'm gonna share the flyer right here. Here we go. Boom. So first annual Fig-toberfest, Saturday, October 5th. We're going to have fig trees to give away. We're going to have propagation classes with a fig hunter. He's going to be propagating and show you how to propagate fig trees all day long. He'll be there. So no one will not leave with a fig tree. We're going to have refreshments from Fig Brew. The city of Angleton has actually provided us with the venue. So we're going to have a nice new pavilion. I will say bring lawn chairs. Bring lawn chairs. That's the one thing we're not providing. If you want a chair, bring a lawn chair. Or a blanket to sit on, whatever you want to do. We're doing this picnic style. I don't think we're even going to do a PA, and I think we're going to have upwards of probably 200 something people there. The original event was going to be at the AgriLife office, but we had to go big or go home because we had over 200 people that were signing up. So we had to go with a bigger venue. So it will be outdoors. There will be a covered pavilion where if it does rain, we should be safe. But it's going to be so much fun. It's going to be so much fun. I'm going to pick up the soil from Heirloom Soils on Friday. I'm going to get a whole truckload, basically the, Ferrari of soils they're donating for us for the event for propagations and stuff. It is going to be so much fun, and it is absolutely a free event. I think there's going to be food trucks or a coffee truck. They're going to have coffee there as well, but we will have the Fig Brew from Fig Brew, which they call it their figgy. It's their fig alternative. It is dried and roasted figs, and you brew it just like coffee, and it is delicious. So we'll have plenty of samples of that. It's going to be a really good time. It's going to be such a good time and a wonderful time to learn about one of the best, alternatives here in this area. If you're looking for a cold tolerant fruit tree that keeps producing every single year and will produce with it. It will actually produce within the first year. So it's super exciting. How do you suggest to propagate bougainvillea? That's a great question. So I will say that propagating bougainvillea is super easy, super, super easy, but you want to do it when it's hot. So we're coming up on September, October. It's about to start cooling down. You may be able to do this. And bougainvillea actually enjoy being pruned. They love the heat. They love to be stressed out with not much water. If you're overwatering your bougainvillea, it's probably not producing many blooms. I would water my bougainvillea maybe once or twice a week. They love the heat. They love to be completely dried out. They love to be pruned back. They do really well. But bougainvillea are really easy to propagate. They just like to be propagated when it's hot. I did a ton of propagations last year, right before winter. I went and cut them back real hard right before I put them in my greenhouse, probably in October. I did a big Proptober last year where I was propagating like something every day. About lost my mind. And the propagations didn't do great in my under the shade cloth or under the grow lights all winter long in my garage. They just didn't. So if you're going to propagate, I would highly suggest do it right now, like early as soon as possible, or wait till the spring and then do it then. But I use the same method that I use with everything else. You want to get a woody cutting. You don't want a green cutting. You want something that's got bark. You want it to have like a pencil thickness, which is like a 1/4 inch thick. There. All right. So you want it to be like a 1/4 inch, at least a 1/4 inch to 1/2 inch thick. You want I would say make it at least like 6 to 8 inches long. I will take some pruners or some scissors or a knife, and I will scrape one little scrape on the side and kind of scrape back a little bit of bark and expose the cambium layer. You're going to see some green. You want it to be wet. And then I dip it in some rooting hormone and then put it in some well-draining soil. And then I'm going to take it and probably put it in a shadier spot, but I want it to be, while it's still warm. I don't want it to be in a shady spot and it's 60 degrees outside. I want it to be in a shady spot and it's like 80 degrees outside, So you can definitely still do it. You can definitely give it a try and you might have good luck. I even take some grafting tape or some saran wrap and put it over the tip the exposed tip, if it's got, you know, a leaf or leaves on the end of it where it's like the end of the branch, you don't have to worry about this. But if you cut it, you want to possibly cover that with some saran wrap or grafting tape to keep that lock that moisture in, because if the tip of your cutting dries out and you're not watering it every single day, your cutting will die. I use this stuff, and I'm going to be using I'm going to be doing some videos soon with my figs, because my figs are already getting out of control and I need to cut them back. But I use this stuff, and I forget what it's called. Phil's Fig actually introduced me to it, and it's a really stretchy grafting tape that he uses, and it is super helpful whenever you're trying to, you know, lock the moisture in on the end of like the tip of of their propagation material. It's really nice. Yeah, bougainvillea, they are beautiful. Yeah, I my dad had a bunch around his pool area, and that last freeze last year knocked a bunch of them out. He had, you know, maybe one or two left. And so I gave him two of mine. I still have I call it purple heart. It's a white flower and then it turns purple or pink. So it goes from, I forget, it goes from white to pink or pink to white. Either way, it's beautiful, but it needs to be pruned back pretty good. And like I said, I've propagated quite a bit of it this year in the spring, and I've been giving it away. Propagating camellias. Oh my goodness. I have got a camellia over here in the corner that I bought last year from my buddy Jorge over at Jorge's Hidden Gardens. And I hadn't done much research on camellias. All I saw was how beautiful the flowers were. I saw how beautiful the flowers were. And I was like, I got to have it. And come to find out, camellias don't do that well here in the Houston area. I don't know if it's the heat or the humidity. I was even talking to some people over there in Alabama, because they're all over the camellias. They have them everywhere in like the Birmingham area. Every single nursery has azaleas and camellias. They have them all over the place. And I think it's just a humidity thing here in the Houston area. But you would propagate them the same exact way. You would propagate them the same exact way that you are, you know, like I just described the bougainvillea. You would take a decently thick cutting. You know, I think with camellias you can do them a little thinner, but take a good enough cutting. You don't want it to be like 3 inches big. You want it to be like, you know, 6 to 8 inches long. And I strip back. If it's really thin, you don't have to worry about it. You can just dip the whole thing in some rooting powder, but you can just take a little notch off one side to expose the cameo layer on a bigger cutting. Dip it into the rooting powder if you choose to. I use rooting powder. That's my coat. I know there's people that use honey and aloe and mustard and baby powder. Like people have a remedy for everything. You know, every time I post a video where you're doing propagation, have you tried honey? I'm like, no, honey's really expensive. Why would I waste good honey when I have a $5 bottle of rooting hormone that'll last me for a year? Like, why? It never ceases to amaze me, the questions I get asked on some videos sometimes. Just like, whoa, you're a rare one. Where are you at, Tanya? Yeah, there's some really cool varieties. They're beautiful. I just have not had great success. The one I have is still alive. It is just rough. It looks rough. It's ready for some cooler weather. I kind of put it where it's getting like morning sun. And I guess if you're in the Houston area and you want to grow camellias, put them where they're getting morning sun. And oh, you're in Montgomery, Alabama. Yeah, of course you got really, yeah, exactly. I literally just said how many freaking camellias and everything. You can see them everywhere in Montgomery and Birmingham. They have the camellias and the azaleas everywhere. Yeah. No. Yeah. Yeah. Even Phil up there in North Carolina, he's got, I think it's called the Camellia Club that he's a member of. And so, yeah. Now, camellias are beautiful. They are really beautiful, and they can handle the cold. They can handle the cold. The one I had last year, I actually had in a pot, and I put it in my greenhouse because I knew it actually bloomed in my greenhouse over winter, but I probably could have left it out. I put this one in a big mineralic tub, and I set it over in a really shady area of the backyard, and it's getting well irrigated. It's in a big pot. So I think it's going to do well once it cools down and gets established. I transplanted it in late spring, and maybe that's what it is. But it should be fairly easy to propagate, especially if you're in Montgomery. You can probably do it right now if you wanted to prune it back a little bit. But the best time, honestly, is in the you can do it in the fall if it's still gonna be decently warm outside. I found that quite a bit of propagations don't like it when it's really cool. Like if you have like an early frost, I wouldn't propagate in the fall. I would just wait and do it in the early spring. And even with my propagation material from my fig trees, I cut my fig trees usually back right before it frosts. Right before the first frost, I go out there and I cut it back and I start propagating in my garage. I'm finding that if I just cut them back and put them in a Ziploc bag with like a wet, rag, a wet paper towel, and put them in the garage, they can stay in there for like a month or so. And then when you propagate them in the spring, I mean, they seem to grow faster. It seems like the ones that I did in the fall that were in these containers all winter long under the grow lights, compared to the ones I did first thing in spring, I feel like they're at the same point right now, They're just in a more optimal environment. I say the same thing for seeds. If you can start your seeds outdoors in regular sun, like man, you can't even compare artificial light to real sunlight. That's why right now, if you're looking to grow some stuff over winter, start your stuff outside. Outside. Do it outside. The only reason we start stuff indoors for the spring garden is because it's too cold for those seed starts. I start my tomatoes and peppers around Christmas time in my garage under grow lights on heat mats so I can get a jump start on the spring. But for my fall garden, I'll start the seeds outside and leave them out there in the sun. Like right now, they're under my shade cloth; they're getting filtered sun. But that's your best method right there. Nothing is going to beat the actual sun. Nothing can compare. So I would like to get some. I got a bunch of open space in my beds right now, so I would like to try a bunch of different cold hardy varieties of greens. I want to do kale. I want to do kohlrabi. I want to try to grow more leafy greens. I never have much luck here in the Houston area in my garden growing leafy greens unless you're cutting them and picking them early. So I think this year I'm going to go and get my beds prepped. I'm going to sow a bunch of seeds. I'm going to go heavy with it and thin them out and start harvesting more greens. I want to make more salads and make more, dehydrated kale chips and, start making some really good stuff. I'm really, really interested in growing some new things. I just started cilantro and butter lettuce. Sprouts are going well so far. I need to get some more carrots started soon. Yes, I need to get my carrots done soon. Soon, I need to get my carrots started soon for sure. That's another thing right there with stuff like cilantro. People always try to grow cilantro in the spring. Cilantro does really well in the fall. Certain things that it's funny because you'll go to a Lowe's or Home Depot or the big box stores and you buy these plant starts, and man, they will sell you anything you'll buy in the springtime. I mean, people buy Brussels sprouts and broccoli in this early spring. And man, here in the Texas area, here in my part of Texas in Houston, like I can only grow stuff like that over winter time because once it goes over like 75, 80 degrees consistently, all those brassicas like cauliflower, kale, Brussels sprouts, broccoli, they're going to bolt. They're going to start going to seed really quick. So I grow that stuff over winter. They're typically slow growing plants anyway. So that's the way to do it. Y'all are ahead of the game. What's up, Dee Dee? My kale and kohlrabi already sprouted. Kale and Swiss chard sprouted in late August in the raised beds. Awesome. Yeah, I'm not a fan of Swiss chard. Swiss chard is not my favorite, but I know it's really good for you. I know it's really good. I don't know. I can't do it. But here's the thing with me, I like most of my leafy greens. I like most of my leafy greens raw. I don't typically like them cooked like kale. Dude, nothing is better when it is like 30 degrees outside and you go out there and you pick a piece of kale off of the plant and you chew on it and it's like, oh my God, because the cold temperatures make the starches in the kale turn into sugar, which make the leaves taste a lot better, which make the kale taste really good. If you've ever had kale and you didn't like it, you probably got it from a plant that was grown like in the spring and it tastes really bitter. Someone was talking about cucumbers the other day that were super bitter. Yeah, some varieties don't really grow that well in the heat. Stuff like my Armenian cucumbers have been growing like wildfire. I Cannot eat them fast enough. The Armenian cucumbers are crazy growing fast. They're huge. They'll get really long. God, the ones we've got right, we typically don't let them get up longer than 18 inches. 18 inches is about the limit you want to push it with those Armenian cucumbers because they'll get kind of bitter and the skin will get kind of thick on them, but they love the heat. There's some varieties of cucumbers that don't like the heat and they'll get super bitter. Hello, How to Garden. What's going on? I use chard like spinach in Italian recipes. Nice. Yeah, I don't know. Maybe just like people who don't like kale. Maybe I haven't had chard the right way. I don't know. I got to try more things. Every year I try to try more things, you know. So, oh, goodness. Yeah, I luckily the oven I had to replace my oven about a year ago now, I think. And it has an air fryer mode, and so we use the air fryer for certain things. Like we did some okra like that. We air fried them. They got super crispy. We've done we've done squash like that. I mean, air frying them kind of keeps it crispy. It doesn't allow it to get super soggy. Um, I am going to be transplanting some squash soon. The squash seeds that I started are doing really well. Hey, what's going on, Enoch? I like my greens cooked. They're fresh, just so tasty. Yeah, I feel like once you start cooking leafy greens, it's just I don't know. I feel like the cell walls break down. They start tasting like doo doo. I don't know. I'm not a fan of cooked greens. I'm not a fan of cooked them. But my wife loves like collard greens and stuff like that. She goes nuts for it. There's some things that I plant that I don't eat, like cabbage. Ugh, I cannot stand the smell of cabbage. The smell of cooked cabbage to me smells like dirty diapers. But I could eat Brussels sprouts every day of the week. I love Brussels sprouts. I could eat Brussels sprouts every single day. And I know what people say. Brussels sprouts are like little cabbages, but you know what? I love Brussels sprouts. But I also don't grow Brussels sprouts either. Brussels sprouts take forever to grow. Brussels sprouts take so long to grow. Unless you're growing like a 50-foot row of Brussels sprouts and you're going to get a bunch of them out of it, I just don't think it's worth it. I mean, if you want to do it, do it. I've done it before. They are such slow growers. Something attacked my cucumber plants. I had to tear them out. I only got 4 of them. Do not like cabbage either. Something attacked your cucumber plants like it was eating them up or something like literally like the sword or something. I've been having not cucumber beetles. The leaf-footed bugs have been all over my cucumbers lately. You know, it's getting towards that time of year where they're going to be getting pulled soon anyway. I've had them up for forever. I would like to do some snap peas or some pole beans or something like that on that little trellis. So we'll see. Yes. Oops. What did I do? Oven roasted with Brussels sprouts, olive oil, garlic, and black pepper. Nom nom nom. Yes, and that's pretty much how I do it. So I typically buy my bro. This is how I'm gonna cook Brussels sprouts. And one thing I do different is the olive oil, but I'll get into that. So when I get my Brussels sprouts, I usually do like the steamer bags, right? I'll do the steamer bags, and I will go ahead and steam them like you normally would, or maybe like a minute or two less, and then I'll take them and I'll put them in a bowl and I will add some butter and then whatever seasoning I want. I got to add some salt, pepper, garlic, stuff like that. And then I'll have my meat like on the Blackstone going, you know, like a steak or chicken or pork loin or whatever I want. Once that's done and the grease and the butter like that I've melted, because I don't use olive oil for cooking anymore. I only use butter, or I'm going to start using beef tallow. But I will throw that on the Blackstone and really kind of sear up that, you know, steamed cauliflower or Brussels sprouts, you know, so that it's really nice and crispy on the edge. And so it's already cooked. You don't have to leave it on there very long. I just kind of give it a little bit of a sear on the Blackstone and let it soak up some of them juices. And it's so good. It's so good. And that's kind of how I do all my veggies. Tonight I did like they call it like a Normandy mix, and it's broccoli, cauliflower, carrots. I did a big steak and some chicken on the Blackstone, and then once I'm done, I've got I had some corn. I had the Normandy mix, and I mixed it together, and kind of just seared it up really good. The corn was kind of pissing me off because the corn was popping. The black stone was so hot, the corn was popping and it was hot, and it was like, oh god, it was kind of pissing me off. But yes, I love Brussels sprouts. I could eat them every single day. But that's how I cook them. One vine at a time, wilting. It was a green worm. I wonder if it was army worms. What are the green worms? I had to look. Green worms. They were eating your cucumbers. Were they eating the cucumbers or the plant? Yes, you can plant broccoli now. Yeah, you can go out there and plant the seeds right now. You're in Arkansas. Um, I don't know what zone you're in, Brenda, but I would say why not? If you got seeds, go ahead. You might. But do hornworms go after cucumbers though? I don't know if hornworms grow after cucumbers though. Yeah, I mean, I don't see why you can't plant your broccoli now, Brenda. Yeah, could be cabbage moth ones. I'd have to see a picture of it. I'd see a picture of that. I had the worst army worms. They were black though. The army worms that I had were black, and they were not. Oh, really tiny ones. I found are the cabbage loopers green? Are the cabbage loopers the little green ones? I think the cabbage loopers are. I think that might be what it is. I'm pretty sure the cabbage loopers are the little green ones. Might be what it is. So what I typically use for caterpillars, if I got an issue with something like that, I'm going to use, yeah, I would, yeah, cabbage loopers. So I typically use BT for stuff like this. If I have issues with caterpillars that are infesting my, cabbage and cucumbers or whatever, I'll mix up some BT and give it a good spray, and that typically handles the caterpillars. And BT, Bacillus thuringiensis. If you look up garden organic BT, that's going to show up. So yeah, look it up, and you can use it a couple times a year if you have caterpillar problems. Like I will typically use it when I have like hornworm issues. I tried it with the army worms, and it wasn't heavy duty enough. It wasn't heavy duty enough. I had some crazy. It seems like every year I got a different pest. I got different pests I got to worry about. Ooh, I'm worried about Phil's fig shirt. Phil's figs. Where I forget I'm not mirrored. Here we go. Phil's figs. A Phil's figs t-shirt and a Texas Garden Guy hat. Boom. I love these little foamies. I love the little foamy hats. The foamy trucker hats, and I like their rope. And you can find my Texas Garden Guy hats on my site. You can get them all over there. Yeah, but if you look up, organic BT, you should be good. It's pretty safe to use in the garden. Just read the instructions. I always tell people, we were talking at that strawberry jamboree this past weekend. I was like, hey, a lot of things are safe to use in the garden. Just read the directions. Read the instructions. Follow the directions. Don't always go by feel like I do sometimes in the garden. I have a problem with like fertilizer sometimes where I just I like to eyeball it, and it's not always the best method, but that's my way of doing things. But I always recommend reading directions when you're applying anything in the garden. So I do measure out my stuff. I've got like some measuring cups that I mark garden on them so that they don't get used for anything else. And I just use those when I'm mixing up like my neem oil or my liquid fertilizer or anything. Yeah, the hornworms on your, yep. So the hornworms are on your tomatoes and my jalapenos. Yep, the hornworms can be terrible sometimes. And I know some people are upset whenever I talk about the hornworms and the orange dogs that go after your citrus and stuff like that. But hey, sometimes it's me or the tomato, and I choose the tomato over the caterpillar. I really do. I really, really do. Yeah, I've had them all. I've had hornworms on my tomatoes, my peppers. I've even had them on my goji berries. Yeah, BT works really well on hornworms. I recommend BT very much so. Yeah, I typically will in the middle of spring when it's go time growing season. I'm probably spraying BT once every 6 weeks, once every month, once every 6 weeks. It depends on what my routine is. I didn't do as much spraying this year. I definitely didn't do as much spraying as I usually do this year, and I feel like I don't know. It's a weird year for gardening. So weird year for gardening. I didn't get as much. I don't know. I didn't get as many tomatoes as I wanted, but it is what it is. You grew, Tanya. I give up on growing dill because of swallowtail caterpillars. Yeah, they'll get them. Hey, it just means you got to grow more dill. It's not a big deal. I steer tiny white dried up carcasses in the pepper pots after the much a little. Yep. So that's what happens. You spray the BT, they eat the leaves, and then they're out. They're gone. They're down for the count. Oh my goodness, guys! Well, death. Do y'all see the screen when it happens like that too? Do y'all see that? It's just me. But anyway, I've got a video I got to try to edit and get posted tomorrow morning. I've got a bunch of those nursery tours that I'm going to be posting soon, hopefully very soon. So be on the lookout for that. This Wednesday, we will have the Dirty Punk Gardening, and the Plant Techie on the Garden Party podcast. So make sure to tune in for that. That's going to be so much fun. I love those two guys, and they are a hoot and a half. So make sure to tune in for that Wednesday at 7 p.m. Central Standard Time. And we'll see you then. And then we're gonna do Friday morning. It'll be Friday morning this week because I'm off. So for the TGIF podcast or live stream, we're gonna do that Friday morning at 7. So be on the lookout for that as well. So have a good evening, have a great week, and we'll see you on Hump Day.